Good evening, fellows, and welcome back again into the meeting room and weekly market outlook. I hope you all are enjoying your weekend and getting ready for the next week. So, this week we're gonna talk about, you know, we're gonna focus on euro pairs and yen pairs. Yeah, euro pairs and yen pairs gonna be under more focus in the upcoming week. Yeah, we can see two banks are coming. All right, Bank of Japan and yeah, Bank of Japan and ECB for press conference. All right, so these two pairs going to be under radar for the next week. All right, so you can see here as well. All right, so we will talk about all the pairs, all the pairs, and for short-term setups and for medium-term and longer-term, all kind of trade setup. All right, so the first trade setup is euro. The euro is just pushing to the upside. Yeah, so for short-term, people are just getting frustrated that where it is going to change the trend into that direction. Yeah, so it is not going to change the direction. You fellas can see that it is in strong bearish trend. Yeah, and we are in sideways market or forming trend continuation pattern to the downside. All right, so this short-term up wave is still there, still pushing to the upside. All right, still pushing to the upside. So short-term trend gonna be bullish on this pair. Yeah, so short-term trend gonna be bullish on this pair, and longer-term trend gonna be bearish. All right, so longer-term trend gonna be bearish on this pair. This is the longer-term trend. This is the longer-term trend. All right, so this is gonna be the longer-term trend. All right, this is the short-term uptrend, corrective uptrend, similar like that. All right, similar like that. And this is the trend. This is the bearish longer-term strong trend to the downside. So we are having sideways market. All right, so we have seen a couple of patterns on this pair on Euro USD, and that pattern has changed many times. Before that, we have seen that triangle. You fellas can see that triangle broken down but did not continue from that bottom. All right, and that triangle changed, yeah, and formed into another formation. That formation, all right, that formation, and then continue, then extended the ranges at the bottom, and then get back again into that trend and that pattern. All right, so we are still in bearish trend and bearish trend continuation pattern formation. That trend continuation pattern formation hasn't changed yet. All right, so we are coming close to the bigger trend reversal point. So price should hold that trend reversal point for downside. All right, so this is the uptrend, short-term uptrend to the upside. So short-term trade is bullish. All right, this is the short-term trade. This is the short-term trade. All right, this is the short-term trade. This is the short-term trade. All right, so the bigger trade gonna be the downside. This is the trade you need to look for longer term. So what we are looking for on this pair for last couple of weeks, we are looking for strong bearish evidence, strong bearish impulse from the top. And that strong bearish impulse is going to give us an idea that we are going to get back for longer term. All right, going to reverse the market from that top. So what it can do, it can reverse at any time from this area. All right, it can reverse at any time from these ranges. So we are having this pattern formation, that pattern formation. Yeah, this is basically a trend reversal pattern. Yeah, we call that ascending trend reversal channel. Yeah, whenever you will see that after a strong trend or strong impulse, price is just going to form a channel. That means the previous trend is going to reverse, going to die. Yeah, or the momentum of the previous trend is going to this previous trend. Yeah, momentum of this previous trend is going to end, going to die. Yeah, so where you need to pay attention every time when price gonna hit this upper channel line. All right, if you have you are having bearish trend reversal channel. All right, so you need to pay attention from upper channel line. And if you are having bullish trend reversal channel, you need to pay attention at the bottom. Yeah, so from upper trend line, we need to look for strong impulse, that kind of impulse. Okay, if we're gonna get that impulse, that means we are going to reverse the trend into another direction. All right, if we're not gonna see that impulse, we're only gonna see that kind of correction. That means we are going to come close to the bottom, close to the trend line, and going to form another up move. Okay, so short-term trade setup going to be over there. That kind of short-term trade setup going to be over there. Okay, similar like that. All right, so we have spoken about that way when we were having this channel over there. Okay, we were anticipating that breakout. All right, and so basically we were having, you know, we were speaking about these breakouts in our daily meetings. So those fellows who are from our group, they remember that what I'm talking about. But those who are new, they don't know about that. All right. So when price was forming that pattern, we were looking for that up move. All right. So similar like that, whenever price going to come close to this channel, you need to pay attention what kind of pattern formation going to be over there. Either the continuation or reversal. Either this pattern is going to repeat itself at this area, or price is going to form a continuation. Yeah, if it is going to form a continuation, that is the trade. Okay, if it is going to form a reversal formation, that is the trade for short-term upside. Okay, so I hope you fellows understand how to look at this pair, because many fellows are getting confused on trading view because of I have posted that chart over there, so they are not understanding how to look at the chart for reversal. So every time when you are looking for a reversal, you need to look for strong evidence. Okay, so strong either bullish or bearish evidence before getting into the market. And if you can read that when it was appearing on your chart, you can join that without looking any indication, without looking any other indicators or something like that. All right, so we call that price action. Price action. So you can read that price action on your chart without paying attention on any indicators. So dollar index, we are having bigger pattern formation, quite similar like the Euro USD, but this pattern formation is slightly different from that pattern. So you can see it looks like expanding triangle. Yeah, expanding triangle. So we still have some room, okay, up to the bottom. It can push further to the downside up to this bottom. But what we need to look for, we need to look for impulse. Either it is hitting the bottom or not. If we're gonna get the impulse before hitting the bottom, we will start to look for buy. All right, so this is the longer term trade. This is the longer term trend. This is the trend continuation pattern formation. Very simple. All right, expanding triangle. So the way price is just falling, that is corrective. That is corrective. You can see over there, it is falling correctively and rising aggressively. Falling correctively, rising aggressively. All right, so similar like that, this is going to be the impulse. Whenever price is going to start the impulse, it's going to be the strong impulse to the upside. So what we need to look for, we need to look for that bullish momentum from the bottom. So if we're not going to see that bullish impulse or bullish momentum from the bottom, that means the previous trend is still there. All right, so the previous trend is still there. What price can do, price can just keep pushing to the bottom. All right, so what you're going to see the impulse, you're going to see the continuation, you're going to see the impulse, you're going to see the continuation, you're going to see the impulse, you're going to see the continuation, you're going to see the impulse. All right, so price is going to keep repeating that price behavior up to the bottom. So which thing gonna change the trend? This thing gonna change the trend. Okay, this impulse gonna change the trend from the bottom. All right. So whenever you are looking for a reversal, you need to look for impulse, strong impulse from the bottom or top, wherever you are looking for reversal. So if we're not going to see the impulse, and again we're going to see the continuation pattern formation, that means there is short-term trade to the downside. All right, so short-term trade to the downside, like this one. If you're going to see another continuation pattern formation up to that trend line, another trade to the downside. All right, so trade something like this, or something like this, or something like this. Yeah. So if there is bigger correction, that means there is bigger potential to the downside. All right. If there is smaller correction, lower degree correction, that means there is smaller trade to the downside. All right. So we're gonna pay attention at the bottom. If you're gonna see strong impulse from the bottom, something like that, something like that, that is going to change the trend. All right, this bearish trend. Okay, so pay attention at the bottom and watch for the impulse. Once impulse will appear, you can look for buy, and you can use your stop loss just behind the impulse. So USD chief is forming another continuation pattern formation, although other pairs are not forming this kind of pattern like USD dollar index and Euro USD, but this pair is forming the continuation pattern formation. Yeah, so you all fellows can see that price is just repeating the same pattern. All right, so the pattern we have seen here. All right, so we were bearish at this area when this pattern was forming over here. All right, so we are having this pattern on lower degree. Okay, so that trade is possible. Short-term trade is possible. We can look for that trade. Also, although we have already taken that trade in our room at this area when price was hitting that area, but if you are not into that trade, you need to look for another up move and then drop. Okay, price is just repeating the same pattern at this area. Okay, and similar pattern we have seen at this area. Okay, although that was ascending channel or flag, and this is ascending wedge. All right, this is the ascending wedge. That ascending wedge is just repeating itself at this area. Okay, so the bigger pattern is trend reversal channel. The channel I have shown you on the Euro USD. All right, but that channel is bearish and this channel is bullish. Descending trend reversal channel, you can see over there, this pattern is developing. All right, so that means in longer term price gonna reverse the trend into that direction. All right, so whenever price gonna hit the bottom, what we need to look for, we need to look for strong bullish evidence and strong bearish evidence on Euro USD, okay, for trend reversal or change in direction. So if we're not gonna see that bearish or bullish evidence on Euro USD or on this pair, there is short-term trade setup. That is short-term trade setup. All right, upside on Euro USD and bearish on USD chief. Okay, so try to understand what kind of trade setup you are looking for, where you are looking for trade setup. Okay, either there is potential or not. So this is the bigger formation, the formation I'm looking for. As long as price gonna stay within these ranges, we are bullish. Okay, we are bullish. This is the trade setup we are looking for. I'm showing this trade setup since very long. All right, so this is the bottom. We need to look for impulse from the bottom and change direction. All right, so impulse something like this. All right, or impulse something like that, or something like that. Right, or something like that. You can read that strong bullish momentum on lower time frame rather than this time frame. Okay, so let me show you lower time frame how you can trade on this pair. So this is the pattern we are having. The trade setup you need to look for. Currently there is no sell setup. All right, no sell setup, because The sell setup was there at that area. All right, if you're gonna look for sell setup at this area or breakdown, that's not reasonable. Okay, that's not a reasonable place. Not gonna give you good risk reward ratio, or even not gonna give you good potential. Okay, so what trade you need to look for once price gonna hit the top, and that's that area, correctively. All right, not aggressively. If price is just going to rise aggressively, that means price is going to change that pattern. All right, and going to reverse from the bottom to bullish upside. So price should rise correctively back to that top. That's going to be the trade for you. All right, so this is going to be the trade. This is going to be the trade. This is going to be the trade. Okay, so this is going to be the trade again up to this area. Those who sold here, that is the trade for them. No, they need to watch the breakout at this area for further downside. So short-term downside and longer-term upside. Euro yen. Euro yen has moved a lot already, going forward. Let me show you the daily time frame. What we are having on daily time frame, we are having similar pattern formation. The pattern formation I have just shown you on Euro USD. Yeah, so ascending wedge. This is the pattern formation. This is the pattern formation. Yeah, this is the pattern formation. So price should come up to this trend line. We're going to watch price action at this area. If price is going to form a continuation formation, we are going to get down. Yeah, so those fellows who are following me on pound Australian dollar, they remember that how we dealt that pair. Yeah, so that pair was at the top forming this pattern and reversed. Yeah, now we are coming close to the bottom on that pair. So this trade setup is quite similar like that. Yeah, so longer term trade setup. Yeah, so those fellows who are having issues, I mean, for getting into the room, they can watch me on YouTube. We are live on YouTube. Yeah, so we will talk about those as well. So let me show you the lower time frame, what we need to look for, where you need to pay attention for trade setup. Right? So fellows, short-term trend is still bullish. You all can see that short-term trend is still bullish. This is the trend. Okay, so this is the trend. What we are looking for, we are looking for reversal for bigger wave to the downside. All right, so the upside is limited because price has already moved a lot. Right, so what we need to look for, we need to look for reversal back to the bottom. So what we are having impulse at the top. All right, so you fellas can see that we are having impulse. All right, so we are forming continuation formation. All right, so where we need to pay attention for trade setup, we need to pay attention at this area, at that place. Okay, and we need to watch breakout. So you can look for breakout as well. You can sell the breakout. All right, but if you don't want to sell the breakout, you need to pay attention at that area. If price is going to hold that, you can get into the market at this area. Okay, you can put your stop just behind that and look for a continuation. Once price going to hit that trend line, you need to watch the price action. Either it is going to hold that trend line for another up move, or going to form a continuation formation for continuation to the downside. Yeah, so the first trade setup is this, and the next trade setup we're going to look for at this area once price going to hit that trend line. Okay, so we are anticipating impulse within that continuation pattern formation. All right, so we are having ascending wedge. You can see over there. So let me show you the lower time frame, like 1 hour. So fellow, you can. So some fellows, those who are unable to figure it out, what pattern is there, they can understand where you need to pay attention. So this is the impulse. This is the pattern which is just developing over there. That is the place where you need to pay attention. If price going to hold that, that is the place you need to pay attention for short. All right. If you don't want to sell over there, you think that price is going to get another up move, which is possible over there, okay, price can change this pattern formation. Keep in mind when you are looking to sell it at this area, okay, pattern can change itself, but you need to look for price action for short. No entry without looking at solid price action at that area. All right, so if you don't want to, if you think that it is not a place to look for sell. Maybe price going to change the pattern, and we are still in the bullish trend. It can change the pattern and can rise. So you can look for a breakout. Okay, if price going to break down aggressively, you can look for sell at this area by putting your stop just behind that. I hope you fellows understand how to look at this trend continuation pattern formation. So let the price come close to the channel line. We'll see that how things gonna behave over there, over the trend line. All right. So in case the pattern do not continue, this continuation pattern formation do not continue to the downside, and gonna test the top again. All right, this area. So we're gonna pay attention at that area again for this kind of impulse. All right, this kind of momentum. So what we are looking for, basically we are looking for first impulse from the top, which is going to give us an idea that the trend is going to reverse. Okay, so the bigger wave is going to reverse, going to come. The bigger bearish wave is going to come for the downside. So upside is limited. You can see price is going to form our reversal formations, or this trend is going to die, going to be channelized. Yeah, so it can't keep rising like that. Right, at some point it will fall, and whenever it will fall, it will get back to the bottom again. Let's look at the next. So we are talking about those pairs where the possible trade setup may appear for next week, potential trade setup. All right, fellows, so we are focusing on those pairs where we can get a potential trade setup for next upcoming week. All right, so pound CAD, we are having trend continuation pattern formation. Last week this pair was pretty good. So in our trading room, we had a trade setup, perfect trade setup at this area before the news event, that area. So perfect trade setup was there. Okay, so similar trade setup may appear over there at this area. Okay, so the next impulse. So impulse is going to be something like that. All right, so what you need to look for, you need to look for top, where the price going to stop and going to continue for the downside. All right, so if you let me show you. All right, so that is the pattern formation we are having currently. If my group members remember that I have shown to them, this is the continuation pattern formation, and if that continuation pattern is not going to continue, you need to pay attention at that top. I hope some of you fellows managed to get in. All right, so if you are not into that trade, you need to pay attention at the previous high, this high. All right, this is the place where you can see bears were strong bearish. Bears were in the market at this area. Okay, so if price keep correcting like that, correcting like that up to that area, and start to stop at this area, that is the place you need to pay attention for sure, by putting your stop behind. That is the trade you need to look for. Okay, if this scenario not gonna appear over there, then what you need to look for, simply you need to look for strong breakout. All right, strong breakout, this strong breakout. Okay, that strong breakout gonna give you an indication that it is going to continue. All right, this pattern is going to finish, going to continue to the downside. So the first target you can set at this area, or even further continuation to the downside. Yeah, so we are in a bigger trend. We are in a bigger trend to the downside on this pair. Let me show you the bigger daily. This is the bigger trend. All right, this is the bigger trend. So it can further push to the downside, but what we are looking for short-term trade setup at this area. Okay, so for this bigger trade setup, at least we need a bigger continuation pattern formation at this area. All right, so once we're gonna see that bigger continuation pattern formation, quite similar like this previous one, then that trade setup gonna appear over there. All right, so we'll see that how this pair gonna do. So New Zealand dollar, New Zealand dollar is just pushing for another up move. If you fellows remember that, last week we have spoken about this pair. All right, so last week we have spoken about this pair, that this pair can push for up move. So this is the pattern we are having. Let me show you so that you fellows can understand what pattern we are having. We are having similar pattern formation. The pattern we have seen on Euro Yen, Pound CAD. Yeah, so this is the lower degree continuation formation. All right, this is the trend. This is the trend. This is the bigger degree continuation formation. Yeah, bigger degree continuation formation by downside. What price is doing? Price is just forming that pattern. Okay, for this continuation trade. So if you fellows remember that, we have seen that pattern formation on USD CAD. Yeah, so USD CAD is falling from the top aggressively to the downside. All right, so what price can do? Price can come up to this area again in the future at this previous low. All right, so let me look at the lower time frame where you need to pay attention what we are having currently on this pair. So last week we have spoken about this pair that it can push another up, push for another up move, and if so, then we will be seller at this area. I hope some of you fellows already managed to get into the market from that top. Yeah, at this area. Some of you fellows managed to get into that in the market from that top for this trade, and and if anyone not there, not sold that, what you need to look for. Okay, this is the pattern formation we are having. Let me tell you first, the pattern formation we are having is ascending broadening wedge, or you can call that expanding triangle, whatever you want to call that, it's up to you. Okay, that is the pattern we are having. All right, that is the important place where we need to pay attention for that trade. Okay, so price can come closer to this bottom again, or even can push all the way up to the bottom at this area. All right, so we have seen that pattern previously many times. All right, so we have seen that pattern here. Okay, so that is the pattern. This is the pattern we have seen on lower degree. You can look at that pattern on lower time frame as well. So that is the place where we need to pay attention for that trade. So we have seen that pattern here as well. So that is the place where we need to pay attention. So similar pattern formation is going to repeat. All right. So price is just going to repeat the similar formation on current price. So pay attention at that top, this area at that top. Okay, so let me show you the lower time frame, how you can look for. If you fellows remember, the last week we were talking about this price was there at that area. Yeah, so we have taken that trade. We have taken that trade, and before that we have taken that trade. All right, so short-term trade within that pattern, short-term trade, this trade, and that trade. All right, so these were the short-term trade within that pattern. These were the short-term trade. This is the bigger trade. So this trade we're gonna look for on current price. Okay, this bigger trade. Okay, up to the bottom, this bottom, and if that price is going to continue, we can hold that trade for longer term. Where you need to pay attention, you need to pay attention at that top. All right, so currently you all can see that it is strong bullish. Looks like strong bullish for upside. Yeah, all right, so you can see strong bullish. What this mean is, so what we need to think about by looking at this information. All right, by looking at this information, what should we do? Should we get into the market just by looking at the trend lines, these trend lines, or this previous high or resistance? We should get into the market at here, somewhere here. Fellas, should we get into the market? So those fellows who are new into the meeting, you fellows gonna understand how we look for the price action. Okay, so first of all, what we need to look for, we need to look for the price action within these areas. Either price is going to stop or not. If price is going to stop, if price is going to stop at that area, then there are going to be the sell setup, all right? So David, you need to look at the price action. So try to understand how to look at the price behavior, how to look at the price action, all right? So rather than relying on your indicators or your trend lines or your patterns or other things, yeah, price action is very, very important. Okay, so you can see price action is strong bullish, all right, strong bullish. What does this mean? This means that price still can push, can form new highs, right? It can still push to the upside. So you need to be careful. You need to be careful for selling at this area, 74 or 7700. Okay. So what kind of price action you need to look for reversal? You need to look for strong bearish evidence, strong bearish candles. All right. So currently it is still bullish. What it can do, it can keep pushing, something like that, and then drop. So you need to look for this kind of price action, either on 15-minute time frame, 5-minute time frame, or 1 hour, where you can see clearly that it is forming strong bearish candle. You can join that. All right. So I'm showing you this price action. The reason is that you need to understand that it is still bullish, yeah, forming new high. Okay, so it can further push to the upside. So you need to use stop loss according to that, right? Those who are looking to sell from that top, you need to use your stop loss according to that price action, okay, according to that price behavior. All right, so if you're gonna use that tight stop loss just behind that, what market gonna do? Market gonna stop you out, then gonna drop. Okay, that's too tight, that stop loss is too tight. So look at the price action. Once you think that it is okay to get into the market, then get into the market. Use your stop loss just behind that. All right, so go for longer term, not for short term. So short term, if you're looking for short-term trade setup with tight stop loss, that is risky because it is still strong to the upside. I hope we're gonna see nice fall in this pair very soon. Okay, so let me show you one more thing. So also we are getting close to that top. All right, so we are getting close to that top. All right, we are getting close to that top. So upside is limited. Upside is limited. Longer term downside. As you can see, Euro USD hitting the bigger trend reversal. USD Chief is hitting the bigger trend reversal. DAX, the dollar index is also hitting the bigger trend reversal. All right. So we are looking for the dollar to get strong in longer term. Aussie dollar has changed slightly. Okay, the pattern formation we were looking for has changed slightly. So we were looking for this pattern, right? That trade we were looking for. So it has changed slightly. Okay, this single candle has changed this pattern slightly. But that doesn't mean that it is going to continue for the upside, going to change the pattern for longer term. All right, so longer term, this pair is still bearish. All right, so longer term, this pair is still bearish. When we look at the weekly, you can see over there. So, okay, so we are coming all the way from that top. All right, this is the trend. So what price is doing at this area? Price is just forming sideways movement, right? Sideways movement like that. All right, so what we're gonna look for, short. Let me show you the lower time frame, how we need to look for. This is the pattern I'm looking for. What it can do, it can further push for small pips. Okay, so anyone who is looking for longer term trade or even for medium term trade, you need to think about that. Yeah, it can slightly push up, it can do something like that. All right, the way we have seen on euro yen, you need to consider that price behavior before getting into the market. This scenario may appear over there. All right, because we can see that it is still bullish, so it can form a couple of candles to the upside. But what we need to look for short trade, we need to look for strong bearish candle. Okay, strong bearish candle on lower time frame. All right, something like, let me take my pen. All right, so what we need to look for, we need to look for this kind of price behavior. All right, so if you can read that price behavior on your lower time frame, somewhere here, wherever, okay, wherever you can read that, you can join the market. All right, you can put your stop behind, you can join the market. If you know gonna see that kind of price behavior and you only gonna see the continuation formation back to that trend line, what you can do, you can look for short-term up trade. All right, with the previous trend. So short-term up trade gonna be there like that. If price is going to do something like that, continuation formation, so that short-term up trade gonna be there. All right, that short-term up trade. So this trade only gonna be for short lived, not for longer term. So the longer term trade is to the downside. All right, so those who are position holder, they need to look for longer term trade to the downside rather than for the upside. So Euro Uzi USD hasn't changed anything. We are still bearish on this pair for longer term. So we're gonna watch price action at the previous top. Yeah, it is hitting the previous top. You fellas can see that we are hitting the previous top. This previous top. All right, so price has violated that top, these tops. So it is just forming a new pattern or extending the ranges. So on longer term or on bigger time frame, we are still bearish. Okay, the bigger trend is to the downside. The bigger trend hasn't changed yet. Let's look at the USD CAD. All right, so let me show you the example. All right, so example, how we look at the channel, yeah, the ascending channel or ascending wedge. So we were having that pattern here on this pair. Okay, that pattern, the pattern I have just shown you on euro yen on lower time frame. All right, that pattern was telling us that we are going to get down for longer term. Okay, so the longer term trade setup was there for the downside. So we sold this pair from that top and we are hitting the bottom, and euro yen is just repeating that price behavior. Okay, euro yen is just repeating that price behavior at this area. That was the pattern. Okay, so we can read that pattern on lower time frame for reversal. So that was the trade. So similar kind of trade setup may appear on euro yen, okay, for longer term. So price has moved already a lot on that pair, so this is the trade we're going to look for on euro yen. All right, so on this pair, where we need to pay attention, we need to pay attention at the previous bottom. Okay, at this bottom we are hitting this pattern at this bottom. So this is the continuation formation, impulse, continuation formation, and next impulse is just appearing over there. So now what we're gonna look for, we're gonna look for a change in pattern formation at this area. Okay, for longer term. If price gonna hold that, then we're gonna look for a change in pattern formation or back into this corrective structure. All right, and if we're not going to see the strong bullish evidence, see something like that, and we're only going to see the continuation formation, it is going to break down. All right, it is going to break down this previous low. So there is short-term trade set up on this pair, but next week, where you need to pay attention. So last week this pair was excellent pair. Yeah, so if my group member remember that we were looking short at this area, we got that wave. We were looking for short at this area, we got that wave. We were looking for short at this area, we got this breakout. All right, so fellows, there is short-term trade set up to the previous low. Okay, up to this is the previous low, which I have shown you on the bigger time frame. This is the previous low. This is the previous low. Okay, if you're gonna see another continuation formation at this area, that is gonna be the trade. Okay, that is gonna be the trade for you. That is gonna be the trade. Okay, something like the previous one. All right, so you need to watch continuation pattern formation, something like that. So that pattern was the symmetrical triangle. We call that symmetrical triangle. And the previous one, the one which we were having here at that area, we call that simply ascending channel or flag. 1 2 3 4 5 and then drop. 1 2 3 and drop. All right, so triangle. So we don't call that triangle like 5-way or something like that. We just look at the triangle. It is forming triangular shape, and you just need to look at this evidence over there. If you get that evidence, it is going to continue. Okay, you need to be into that trade. I hope all you fellas can see that. It is very, very clear. No need to do some extra stuff over there. No need to do some magic thing over there. I think all can see that. You all can see that. Yeah, if the previous trend was strong bearish and it is forming continuation, that is the continuation trade setup. That is the breakout. Okay, so that is the evidence that it is going to break out. That is the breakout. If you will not be able to join this area, you can join at this area. You can join at this area. You can join wherever you can see that it is good for your risk reward ratio. You can join at that place. All right, so similar like that. That is the breakout. All right, so that is the breakout. That is the breakout. Okay, so one more thing you need to remember. So is there any difference between this impulse or breakout and this breakout? Is there any difference between these two? Any difference? What is the difference between these two? This impulse and this impulse. Yes, impulse is getting smaller, and the previous one was very sharp, and the current one isn't sharp like the previous one. Yeah, this impulse is very sharp, and this wave was very sharp, but this impulse isn't sharp enough like the previous one. Okay, so this is suggesting that we may see change in pattern formation. Which pattern formation? This pattern formation. All right, this pattern. The previous pattern which we were having over there, although that pattern has broken down, okay, broken down successfully and going to continue. But how price can change that formation? It can do something like that and going to form this channel, right? And going to form a continuation formation and can then drop, okay? And the next drop gonna be quite similar like the previous one, okay? Like this one, corrective. Okay, so this drop is suggesting that we may see descending channel pattern formation over there. If so, then the next wave we're going to see here going to be the shorter, quite similar like this previous one. Okay, so this is how pattern develops. This is how pattern forms. So you need to understand the price behavior, and then you can look for the next future wave. Okay, so small potential we are having over there still up to the bottom. We're going to go for that. And once price going to hit the bottom, what we need to look for from the bottom, we need to look for strong impulse. Okay, or spike or bounce back, aggressive bounce back, something like that, aggressive. Okay, so aggressive, something like that. And if we're going to see that, we're going to join that for upside. If we're not going to see that kind of price behavior for longer term up trade, and we're only going to see that price is going to hit this bottom and going to do some corrective things or going to form a corrective trend continuation pattern, then we're not going to look for reversal, right? We're not going to look for reversal. So I don't think so. We're going to see breakout of this bottom. Price going to stay at this area and will change the pattern formation. And if so, then we're going to look for the impulse. Okay, I'm going to show you the example at the previous bottom, what kind of impulse you need to look for longer term reversal. Okay, so you all can see that. You all can see that. Okay, so this was the bottom. I think you all can see that. This was the previous bottom. Come on. This was the previous bottom, and that is the indication that price is going to reverse the trend, this previous trend. Okay, so if you're gonna see this indication, this kind of price behavior at the current price, that is going to change the trend, right? So we can see that currently price is falling aggressively, not correctively, not like this. Okay, not correctively, not like this. All right, so we need to be careful for buying, for longer term buying. Okay, it can further push, can go beyond that bottom and can reverse. So this is the evidence you need to look for buy setup on current price from the previous low. I hope you fellows understand at this area, okay, at this bottom. So the place I was showing you was that. That was the place which I was showing you. That place which I was showing you on one hour time frame. Okay, so let's look at the next. Cat chief is just hitting the bigger reversal formation, the bigger trend reversal formation. Yeah, we were selling that pair whenever it was coming close to that top, but this time price is just getting close to that top aggressively. Yeah, this top coming close to that top aggressively. So what we can do over there, we can look for short-term buy, and once that short-term buy gonna be over, I mean once price gonna hit the top, we're gonna be the seller again over there. Okay, so that is the top which I'm showing you, where we need to pay attention for the bigger reversal, that top. Okay, so we can go for that short-term up move. So for that short-term up move, we need to pay attention at the previous low, at least the previous low. So I hope some of my traders already into that trade. We were waiting for the price to come close to this area, and then we gonna buy. So price came and this area. Yeah. So this is the place where you need to pay attention. If price passed that area correctively, quite similar like the way it has done here at this area on lower time frame, like 5-minute time frame, then you need to look for this trade. Okay, for short-term upside. If price going to get down aggressively and hit that area, then we're gonna look for continuation for the downside. So of course we're gonna watch price action at this area, how price is going to continue to the downside. I don't think so we're gonna see this kind of impulse from current price, because the previous trend is so strong. You all can see that, so strong. All right, so the trade we need to look for, you need to look for upside. Okay, short-term upside, that is the trade. So the buy place again at the bottom. There is the current place is not a buy place. All right, this current place is not a buy place. At least I should come close to this area or up to this trend line, then they're going to be the trade setup, something like that. All right, something like that trade setup. EuroCAD did an excellent job last week. This pair is going to come close to the bottom. Alright, let me show you which bottom. This bottom. The bigger structure we are having is this. Okay, so we are coming close to this bottom again. This bottom. So this much potential is there. So short term bearish, and once price going to hit the bottom, we will decide either it is going to reverse or going to break the channel this time. So last time, if you fellows remember that, we sold that channel. Okay, we sold that area, this place. Okay, that was the trade which we took last time in our room. So we also, some of you fellows took that trade, this trade. Also, we have spoken about that trade, yeah, this trade, that short-term trade. So those who sold at this area, you just need to watch the breakout for continuation, yeah, for continuation to the downside. So if anyone looking for the breakout setup, you can pay attention at that area. Okay, for breakout setup, put your stop at this area and look for continuation. If you're gonna see strong breakout, you can get in the market. But I would suggest you to look for pullback up to that area. Okay, pull back up to that area and then go for short. In case price is gonna bounce back aggressively, something like that, and going to get back to this top again, then we're gonna look for change in pattern formation. This pattern formation. So far we can see this continuation formation. We just need to look for the continuation trade setup rather than anything else. Okay, so we are having this continuation pattern formation. So similar like the previous one. All right, this previous one. That is the trade. Similar like that. This is the pattern, and that is the trade we're gonna look for up to that bottom. We'll see that how this pattern gonna behave. Let's look at the pound yen. Pound yen, we are getting closer to the top again. Okay, so this time looks like it is little bit bullish. So no early selling. So anyone who got the short-term trade, sold for short-term, took their profit, that's okay. Or those who got stopped out on break-even, those fellows need to look for sell from that top again. All right, this top, this top. So we are still looking for that trade. Okay, this kind of trade setup. All right. So let me show you where we need to pay attention. So price forming that pattern, you all fellows need to remember which pattern we are having. We are having this pattern. Okay, this pattern. So looks like impulse is going to violate. That impulse is going to violate. All right. We were looking for continuation formation and then breakout. So we got the small trade at this area, but looks like it is still aggressive to the upside. So that is the place where we need to pay attention. That is the place where we need to pay attention for that short trade and continuation to the downside. In case we're gonna see breakout at that top, and price is going to break out, then we will decide either we need to look for buy, or we only gonna look for change in pattern formation, yeah, or price is just going to extend the ranges and then going to get back again into the previous structure. Okay, so that possibility still exists over there. I mean, invalidation of the previous impulse for continuation to the downside, that possibility exists over there. So any seller who are looking to sell from the top, you need to pay attention on the previous top. Okay, so I think you all can see that it is strong bullish at this area. Yeah, strong bullish. So highly likely we're gonna violate that. All right, so highly likely we're gonna violate that top. Okay, if so, then we need another impulse from that top. All right, we're gonna look for that. So we're gonna pay attention at this trend line. If price gonna violate that, we're gonna pay attention at that trend line for this pattern formation. The pattern I have just shown you on New Zealand dollar. Alright, this pattern formation. Ascending, broadening wedge or expanding triangle. So we're gonna pay attention at that pattern. If price violate that top. So pay attention at that top for short. So Euro pound was also an excellent pair for us for that top. We sold that pair from that top. Excellent trade setup was there. Alright, so I hope you fellows manage to sell, those who are into the group. So you all can see that straight drop in last 3 days, straight strong drop in last 3 days. Alright, so where we need to pay attention, those fellows who are holding their short from that top, you need to pay attention from the previous low which I have just shown you last week, yeah. So you need to pay attention at that area so that you can understand either it is going to continue or going to reverse. Alright, so let me look at the chart so that we can understand what chart. I'm talking about Euro pound, yeah. Alright, so that was the trade setup from the top, that top, exactly at the top. So we can see prices just dropping so aggressively, okay, so aggressively. So this is the place where we need to pay attention, this place. Alright, this place at that area. If price is going to hold that area, then we're going to look for strong bullish evidence for another up move. And if we're not going to see that kind of evidence and price is just going to form a continuation formation, then there is a continuation trade setup. Okay, so the first opportunity has gone over there. That was the first opportunity. That opportunity has gone over there. Now we're going to look for continuation trade setup at this area for downside. Okay, so I'll explain to you how you need to look for continuation pattern formation. Okay, so this is the bigger pattern we are having, the bigger formation. Okay, we are still looking for one more move down on this pair. Okay, impulse, expanding triangle formation, and this is the trade we are looking for. Next impulse, yeah. So start of the impulse, start of this wave is so aggressive. We can see the start of that wave is so aggressive. So what we can look for, we can look for continuation formation, yeah, for continuation to the downside. And if we don't want to see that continuation formation and price is just going to form another impulse from the bottom I have just shown you, then we can take off and we can look for another short-term up trade. All right, so let me show you the 4-hour time frame so that you can look at the pattern clearly. Okay, so we have seen a couple of short as a lower degree trend continuation pattern formation on this pair. This is the continuation. Some fellows hold their short at this area, and we have seen a lower degree 15-minute time frame at this area, a continuation formation at that area, another continuation formation at that area, and then breaking. Okay, so you need to pay attention at this area, fellows. If it is going to hold that trade, hold that place, and going to give you another bullish candle, bullish impulse, quite similar like that, it is going to get back to the top again. All right. And if we're not going to see that price action, we're only going to see the continuation formation, a bigger continuation formation, which is required for big wave to the downside before getting into the market. Then we're going to look for at this area, okay, at that area for bigger trade to the downside, bigger wave to the downside. So this pattern may appear over there, okay, if we're going to see the big impulse at this area. Okay, if we're going to see the impulse at this area, that pattern here, viewer. I have shown you this pattern on a couple of pairs. Alright. Okay, if you're gonna see the impulse, we're gonna go for that trade. Alright, fellows. So the bigger trade is this. If we're gonna see that price is going to hit the bottom, we're gonna go for short again, the way we have done here at this area. Alright, the way we have done at that area, we're gonna repeat that. Let's move on to the next. Pound chief. Pound chief is forming this structure. Yeah, so these possibilities exist over there. Yeah, so both pairs follow each other. Both pairs follow each other. Pound chief, some traders, you know, they look for let me open that pair before talking about this. Pound chief and euro pound. Okay, so some traders look at these two pairs like that. I mean, you'll see that they're gonna sell this pair at the same time and gonna sell this pair at the same time. Alright, so fellows, these two pairs follow each other. If this pair is rising, you're gonna see that pair gonna fall. Whatever the reason is, we're not gonna talking about the reason, we are talking about technicals or patterns. Okay, so if this pair is going to rise, this pair gonna fall. Alright, so if you are looking trade setup here on this pair for buy, you should not look for buy setup at this pair at the same time. You need to look for sell setup on this pair. Okay, on euro pound. So let me get back to the chart, to the pound chief. We can see this very strong bullish. So similar like euro pound, we need to look for another continuation pattern formation. If we're gonna see the continuation pattern formation at this pair, at this area, okay, then the bigger trade gonna be the bullish to the upside. Okay, similar like euro pound. If you're gonna see the bigger continuation pattern formation on euro pound, the bigger trade gonna be the downside and bigger trade gonna be the upside on this pair. So where we need to pay attention, if it is not going to continue for upside and going to get back to the bottom again, like euro pound, if euro pound is not going to continue to the downside and holding the bottom, so we need to look at the lower time frame, 15-minute time frame. You can see it is forming impulse, continuation, impulse, continuation, another impulse, still forming another continuation. Yeah, what it can do, it can push. Once you're gonna see there is an impulse, right, like that, and it is going to waylay that trend, that bullish trend. Okay, they're gonna be the trade. They're gonna be the trade to the downside. Okay, bearish trade up to the bottom again. So this evidence is required before selling that pair. Okay, this evidence impulse. All right, if you're gonna see that impulse, they're going to be the trade. You can see impulse and continuation, another impulse, another continuation, another impulse, another continuation formation. Similar like that, for reversal, you need to look at the impulse and reversal. All right, so pay attention on this pair. Once you're gonna see the impulse, you need to look for reversal. Okay, currently it is forming, still forming a continuation formation. It can push further to the upside. Okay, it can push. So for short term buy, at least price should come close to the trend line. All right, at least come close to the trend line for short term buy. This kind of trade setup. All right, this kind of trade setup for short term buy, somewhere here close to the trend line. So better to look for bigger pattern. The pattern I have just shown you, for bigger wave to the upside on this pair and bigger wave to the downside on euro pound. So USD CAD has changed slightly, right? Slightly changed. As we were looking for short trade on this pair. This trade we were looking for, we can see it has invalidated the impulse. So there is a short-term trade on this pair, that short-term trade, fellows, that short-term trade. All right, so look at this continuation pattern formation and breakout to the downside. Let me show you clearly. Here you can see, by the way, previous impulse has invalidated. We are having another impulse, another strong impulse. We are having continuation formation. All right, so watch that continuation formation to break down strongly, aggressively. That is the trade setup you need to look for. That is the place, the evidence you need to look for before getting into the market. If you're not gonna see that impulse, that breakout, strong breakout to the downside, either from this area or this area, there is no trade setup. Yeah, what it can do, it can keep pushing, and can violate that impulse. All right, so once you're gonna see that impulse, then you need to be interested to sell. Right, so I'm very much optimistic that we're going to see that breakout very soon. Okay, what you can do once you're going to see the breakout, you can put your stop behind, let the market run. So this pair, Aussie CAD and Pound CAD, both pairs highly likely going to follow each other. All right, that pair going to break down, and this pair going to break down too. Yeah, this pair was a little bit aggressive to the upside rather than the Euro CAD and Pound CAD and CAD Chief. So on this pair, we need to watch the price action. All right, so there is no trade setup on this pair at the moment. We need to watch the price action at the upper trend line. If you're going to see the price action, then we will be interested to get into the market either for upside or downside. So, but fellows, we are still bearish on this pair. So we have seen a couple of candles on lower degree, on lower time frame on this pair, like a daily time frame. But you all can see that it is forming that pattern. All right, that pattern. So this leg still there. This leg still there. What it is doing? It is doing this behavior, this price behavior. Yeah, correcting, and dropped. All right, so still doing similar thing at this area. Correcting, and it will drop. It will drop and will test that area. All right, so the previous pattern is just being repeated by the price. Previous pattern, let me show you that pattern. We are bearish on this pair since very long, but it looks like it is pushing slightly to the upside. All right, price is just forming that pattern. All right, that trade we're going to look for. So we are having that pattern. All right, so it can, what it can do, it can push something like that, and that is the trade we're going to look for. Okay, quite similar like that trade. So this last leg will appear over there. So, but will take time. All right, fellows, will take time. That is the longer term trade setup. Longer term, not short term. So short term trade setup gonna be the bullish. Okay, so short term trade setup gonna be the bullish again for upside. So at least price should form a continuation formation. All right, at least should come up to the trend, close to the trend line like the previous one. That's going to be the trade. All right, that's going to be the trade for short term to the upside. But what we need to look for on current price, we need to look for stronger price action again. This kind of price action for short term trade to the downside, or trade on the corrective pattern. Okay, or trade setup on the pullback. All right, so we need to look for this kind of price behavior at this area. If you're going to see that price behavior impulse, we're going to look for that trade. Okay, that trade. We'll see that trend line going to break or not for up move. All right, we're going to pay attention to that trend line. So this pair will take some time to give you a trade setup. It is not ready at the moment. So gold is not ready, and silver silver hitting the bottom. Those fellows who are not into that trade on the silver, watch one more move down. If we're gonna see that move, then you need to look for buy at this area. Okay, at this area. So some of you fellows managed to buy at this area. So those who are not in, put your entry at this area and then look for upside. Yeah, so silver has a potential to the upside, a bigger potential. So gold is setting, forming the bottom. Once we will see that bottom, I will update about that pair. Okay, on TradingView, I will post that chart. Post this chart. So the silver has a big potential for upside. Okay, for upside. Looks like you fellows has tired. If so, then we can stop. So USDN, if you fellows remember that we have spoken about this pair last week, right at this area when price was hitting that area. All right, so you can see it is forming the pattern we were anticipating, this pattern, that pattern. So some of my traders managed to get into the market at this area, some managed to get into that area, and we are looking for another continuation for that trade. Okay, so we may see another opportunity over there under that channel. Okay, so watch that pattern formation at this area, quite similar like the previous one. Let me show you the 1 hour time frame. The pattern you need to look for should be quite similar like the previous one. Okay, like this one. Then there are going to be the trade setup. All right, like this, all right, like the previous one you have seen over there. Similar like that. Once that pattern is going to complete over there, we're going to look for another entry over there for the downside. Yeah, so this pair still has potential. USD yen still has potential to the downside, and it can come up to the bottom again. All right, can come up to the bottom at this area, up to the bottom. So we'll see that once price going to hit this bottom, are they going to continue or going to reverse back to the top again? So far we are looking for that trade, so we're gonna focus this trade rather than the future. And S&P 500, I think on S&P 500 there is no trade setup, fellows. Simply there is no trade setup. The trade setup was there, and we have spoken about that trade setup in our room, and some fellows managed to get into the trade. So it is just forming new high. It can keep pushing until you will see strong fall from the top. You can see it is just keep pushing. So that is what I was saying to my traders, that it is still pushing, and it can keep pushing to the upside. So there was a short-term trade setup on lower time frame. Some of my traders took that trade setup. Yeah, so fellows, those who are looking for a reversal from that top, remember, you are selling against the strongest trend on S&P 500. Yes, strongest trend. All-time high. All-time high. Yeah, those who are looking for sell, you can see all-time high. All-time high, strong trend, still pushing. Yeah, so reversal is not there. What you can look for, you can only look for short-term buy setup on every pullback. Every time when you will see the pullback on S&P 500, there is an opportunity. There is an opportunity on lower time frame. Yeah. When the bigger opportunity going to be appear over there, once you're going to see the strong bearish candle. Okay, strong bearish candle, something like that. Yes, we know that people started to talk about the S&P 500. They started to worry about that. It is going to be overvalued. Yeah, so this kind of strong evidence required from the top before looking for short on S&P 500. So far it is pushing and pushing for the upside. So sell gonna be risky over there. Okay, remember, sell gonna be risky, highly risky. So let me show you where was the buy setup. All right, so at least you need to look for this kind of impulse. You can read that impulse even on your lower time frame or big strong candle on lower time frame before getting into the market. All right, this kind of impulse before getting into the market. So don't lose your money by selling at the top or just guessing that it is forming the top. So better to look for pullback and then look for buy. I think let me show you the S&P 500 charts, the charts we have shared in our group, so that you fellas can look at that, what we were talking about that. Alright, so that was the first shot. We were thinking that price gonna form this continuation formation and gonna break down, and we're gonna pay attention at this area, at this trend line for upside. So we have seen that up trade. After that we have seen couple of other pullback. Yeah, so we were talking about that price gonna test this bottom. You can see price tested that bottom and reversed. Yeah, that was the first bottom. We bought at this area for that uptrend, and again when price was coming close to the bottom, we were watching price action at this area for that up move. Yeah, so price went above from this area and then dropped, and there was another opportunity, and after that price never been there within this area. So that was the opportunity which I was telling to my traders. So that was the opportunity. So those who are looking for a trade setup on S&P 500, currently there is no. So that was the trade. Yeah, that was the trade. After that price just went into the bullish side, strong bullish. So you can see it was rising after that. So there was the opportunity. So it still can keep pushing and pushing to the upside. All right, so selling gonna be very risky. Those who are looking to sell this pair or S&P 500, very risky. So when you need to look for sell, once you're gonna see that it is start to fall aggressively to the downside or aggressive. Okay, if we're not gonna see any aggressive fall from the top on this pair, and again we're gonna see the corrective wave like that. Okay, like this wave or corrective trend continuation formation, or like this. Okay, you can see here continuation formation and then continuation, another continuation formation and then another continuation. Okay, if we're gonna see another continuation pullback up to this trend line or within this range, this area, then we're gonna look for another up trade. Okay, so trade set up something like that. All right, so trade set up something like that. The trades that we have already seen over there at current price. Okay, at least there should be a pullback, corrective pullback for another up wave, strong continuation. So I think enough for today, fellows. Oil is setting the bottom, so I don't think so oil is ready at the moment for upside, but forming the bottom. So we are watching. So last week we were anticipating one more move down on oil. One more move down. We can see pattern has changed itself from that area. Okay, so we are still having this let me tell you something about this. All right, so we are having this pattern, fellows, this pattern. Right, this is the reversal formation broken out, and trying to continue for the downside, but here is the change. Yeah, that is the place where the change is coming. All right, that is the place where the change is coming. That means the buyers are trying to get into the market. They are trying to push the oil to the upside. All right, so what we're gonna look for continuation to the upside, at least price should leave that area, this trend line, and should come back correctively and gonna give us continuation formation. We're gonna go for that. So far we're gonna pay attention to this area. Either price is going to violate that area or not. All right, or not. Let me show you the bigger image, what I'm talking about. All right, oil can get to the top again. All right, so it is setting the bottom. It is setting the bottom. So we were longer term bullish on oil, and oil is setting for the bullish. Okay, so that is the trade we're gonna look for. That trade. Okay, so anyone have a question? If you have question, let me know so that we can talk about your question. And if everything is clear, perfect. You can watch the recording on YouTube later on. Alright fellows, if you don't have any question, perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So OZN is not ready to do anything. It is just hitting or forming a top. Once that top gonna be over there, then we will decide either we're gonna look for reversal or not. That is pushing, forming a new high. Alright, so breaking the previous top. So means that there is short-term trade setup, the way I have just shown you. We kick up on a couple of pairs. So short-term up trend. Alright fellows, thank you very much for being with me, and I hope we're gonna hold another webinar for next week at the same time, and we'll see you back into the group, into the webinar next week, Sunday at 5 p.m. Yeah, good to see you fellows. Thank you very much. Enjoy your Sunday, and we'll have a great upcoming week. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks very much, fellows. Bye-bye.